normally we try to pick the main games here to kind of dissect because we know people are going to be interested in them. There are so many this week. Now I'm just seeing, this may be a 1 o'clock. I just don't remember off the top of my head. But we have the Rams. I guess technically this is a relatively shorter week, coming off their Sunday night win at home, going to the Colts. Now, I know from a typical gambling perspective, I don't even know what the line is, but I would take the Colts because when on a primetime game, when everybody sees a team kind of lay a beating or throw a beating, they are way too high on that team the following week, especially going into a place like Indianapolis, where they kind of got embarrassed. Now people are saying, Wentz is a bum. They're all bums. Usually that's a recipe for the other side winning the game. Now how that translates here for DFS, I don't know, but I'll start the bidding by saying Henderson with like a 98% snap count.
Yeah.
5,900 running back. Does that mean super chalk?
Let's take a look. I have, we are on
Let's
Thursday
take a look.
Here.
It's in a book with Darrell Henderson.
Thank you very much, Andy. Yes, he is coming through right now around 14% ownership, which is pretty high. Yeah, it's coming through as like the 4th highest running back on the slate, to right below your boy Chris Carson at 15.5, which, again, that makes sense to me, especially from a cash game. Chris Carson, just to backtrack real quick, they're a touchdown favorite at home in a good environment. So, I understand you want to play Chris Carson. If you guys want to prove me wrong on Chris Carson, go for it. Henderson, I'm more interested in this game because we know he has a pass catching upside. Also, clearly, Sony Michel only had, three carries, 3 touches total last week. So you got to feel good about where Henderson's sitting.
And there's a considerable chance in this game you're not going to get a point. So if this Rams offense truly does flourish with Matthew Stafford back there, Robert Woods was underutilized last week, and Cooper Kupp was a yard short of an actual big game because he got tackled at the 1.
Yep.
It's rare you're going to see Woods in the 5,000s, and Cooper Kupp, I believe, is 6,000 or 6,100.
Yep.
So, look, I'm not saying do a double stack, but if you take somebody like Woods, who's under 6,000, and Higbee, who ran one of the highest route percentages for tight ends last week, he just didn't end up with the big game. But you know what they say about opportunity equals production and all that fun stuff.
So quick story there. First of all, I'll give you the answer real quick. Kupp is coming through as the second chalkiest receiver on the week, right in between CD and Cooper.
That's beautiful.
Right, it's great. So he's coming through at 15.5%. Woods is all the way down at 5% right now. There's your answer.
That's Woods. James Robert Woods.
I'll tell you this about Tyler Higbee. One of my favorite players on the entire year. I was grabbing him all I can in best ball. Stafford's going to like him over the middle. When he was just him, when Gerald Everett was gone, he had a 23% target share last week. So me and all my friends, I was there for 9 guys in Vegas. The biggest bet we wanted to have one bet we were all in on last week. We all took Tyler Higbee on the 4 o'clock games over 39.5 receiving yards, and he locked it on that big 25-yard catch. We went insane, all 9 of us. We won combined. We must have won like $3,000 on this Higbee bet.
I was going to ask if there were any wacky bets that came.
So that was, and it was so funny. The whole sports book just looked at us. We were just screaming, Higbee! It was a good moment. So we're big on Tyler, and that had to be good juju for Tyler Higbee this year. So we're big on Higbee.
And on the other side, can't feel very confident playing any of those receivers, especially when you're dealing with the Rams defense. However, I will say this, a very, very encouraging sign that was unforeseen before the week. I thought Taylor was a good play just in terms of the percentage owned. Nobody was talking about him, and I thought the last time we saw Seattle's run defense, they had the opportunity to get run over by them, but I did think it was dependent on them being ahead in the game or being close. We now learned that with Wentz, he's capable of getting a couple catches.
Yeah.
He had multiple catches. I believe Marlon Mack didn't see the field. That was a half worry that he'd sneak even just a few snaps, and Taylor remained involved, even trailing multiple touchdowns, and that is very, very encouraging to see, especially when you saw David Montgomery. I don't care that he ended the year great and that he started the year great. He's a slow guy, and he just had a great game against the Rams front.
Totally.
So,
it's going to be the Hines and Taylor show there. I mean, Taylor and Hines show, I should say, right? I don't think anyone else is threatening real touches in that backfield as long as both those guys are healthy. Hines, we've talked about him. I'm not using him necessarily this week, but he's always going to be someone that probably makes my build because we've seen it time and time again. It's that pass catching running back in good game script. I don't know if this is necessarily the best game script. I think this game is going to be closer than what's the spread on this game? Do you have it up in front of you?
I believe
But to answer your question, Taylor, yeah, I mean, he's
The
7,200.
Rams are -4.
Okay, right. So,
by the way, take DFS outside of it.
oh, it's an indie bet all week. Yeah,
I
not even a
mean,
question. Not even a question. Especially with the points.
If you're a youngster out there, I know you've lost money because you want to say, "Oh my God." Oh my God, just like I said before, oh my God, the Colts, they looked awful. The Rams, they looked great. I'm taking the Rams. And there goes your girlfriend's awful gift that you were going to get her anyway.
Indy home opener. Carson Wentz has another week to get fully healthy. They are, the run game looks solid. Zach Pascal.
They played at home last week. But regardless,
sorry
still
about
doesn't
that.
matter.
Yeah, exactly. This is when you're getting points at home in a matchup that should have, at the most, even if it's favored one way, they're basically telling you that in LA this would be a 8-point favorite for the Rams. That still doesn't seem right to me, right? So +4 at home is big stuff there. So
yeah. Now I'll just talk about a few notes or teams to look at. So you have the Browns just under the Bucks, who are hosting, rusty old Houston, and 30.5 points they're projected to put up. And I struggle with what to feel about Nick Chubb. I know he's great. We all know he's great. But name me another running back you'll just sign up to play the guy who is going to get like 60% of the touches and probably won't get many catches. It's a very, very tricky. But he's going off for, he's good for 120 and 2 touchdowns this week.
So Chubb, here's the thing with Chubb. He is game script dependent for when I want to use him in DFS. This week would obviously sign up for that, right? I think Houston I think they might be what Jacksonville was last year, which is ironic because they just beat Jacksonville. I think they won week 1. I don't know if we see them win again, right? So, right. So game environment can't be better. So at least on those games where they're going to hopefully be winning by multiple touchdowns, he's going to be the guy getting fed the rock down in the middle of the tackles, right? So he should eclipse that 20 carry mark, no problem this week. He's also, though, especially with Kareem Hunt there, especially not being their passing catch back, almost falls into that Chris Carson, Derrick Henry category for me. Like, it needs to be perfect scenario for me to be playing him in GPPs, even though I know he's done it before. It's such a tricky thing. Like, the difference between Henry and Chubb is Carson's a good running back, but they're in a different tier, right? They're better. They are probably maybe the 2 best pure runners in the league, just talking about between the tackles. So Chubb is someone 7,800. I think because of that, he'll come in at under 10% ownership, probably sitting right around there. And, I just think game script really, really favors him this week. He'll probably help them get that lead, and then he's going to help them retain that lead. He's somebody that you have to take a look at.
Yeah, and I think if you're okay with Baker Mayfield in this game, you see that point, they just want to get everybody right. There's no Odell Beckham. They've made that clear ahead of time. Austin Hooper's another one of those 3,800 tight ends, and you can literally stack him and Landry pretty cheap. And then if you want to go somebody on that other side, that would be up to you. This might be like what Gary said last week about, not necessarily running somebody back. He didn't feel confident until he saw Detroit play a game. So, look, Cooks had over 100 yards, but on 4 catches, can we rely on him to do that? So, just something to think about.
Yeah.
Another team, this one is for me this week. This would be the Pittsburgh Steelers going home. Rough matchup on the road against Buffalo, but I think they played all right. Juju had 8 targets, only ended up with like 4 catches. Deontay Johnson had his targets. I believe at home versus the Raiders, it's kind of an opposite situation of what we were just talking about. You had a team who got an ugly win, and it's the Steelers coming home. And anytime a team wins in prime time, the Raiders are probably a little overvalued right now. And what about their secondary tells you that Roethlisberger couldn't carve them up? I think a lot of people are going to be on Naji Harris in this game because he played 100% of the snaps.
Chalkiest player of the week.
Good, because he just looked like random.
At least on early returns, he's coming through as the chalkiest running back of the league.
All right. Well, I personally, Andy, would like to say or keep a left eye on Ben Roethlisberger there. He's under 6,000, and Schuster had the 8 targets last week. And against the Bills in Buffalo might be tough, but against the Oakland, who just conceded how many yards to Hollywood Brown, and Sammy Watkins came back from the dead and had like 90-something yards. So then when you talk about going into Pittsburgh, going cross-country, and especially if that's a 1 o'clock and that's early for them, short week, you could be talking about a beating there. And you could be looking at multiple Ben touchdowns, just something to think about. And you can go with Johnson and Schuster, but because of the discounts, you might want to go Schuster and Claypool in tournaments. So
I don't hate that
just
at
a
all.
thought. And then, look, you want to go on the other side. It's tough to pay that much for Waller, but what? Oh my God, Braylon Edwards. What's his name? What's his first name? 89.
Brian Edwards.
Brian Edwards. Yeah, I'll call him Braylon Edwards because at least if I put him in my lineup, I'll just have some memory that there's a chance of him doing well. But if they throw him a beating, he could have some junk time catches. He's under 4,000, but like I said, I don't think it's necessary to run any of them back. Ruggs doesn't get enough balls, and it's going to be hard for you to afford Waller. I wouldn't trust those running backs on the road.
Sure.
But that was a game that I wanted to just point out quickly. And if there are any others that you think are noteworthy, maybe the Patriots at the Jets is a weird one.
Crusty, man. Crusty.
Yeah.
I
could go
probably
any which way.
I'm probably not touching any pieces from that game. I mean, maybe I haven't dove into it much more, but maybe a Jacoby Myers can sneak in. But
How about on your early looks at David Montgomery 6,100 against the Cincinnati Bengals?
dude, that guy just continues to roll, right? Like we thought that, hey, he had the whole backfield to himself at the end of last year. Maybe he finally flipped a switch a little bit. He looked, he was like leading the whole fantasy community in points, and then he comes out in what was supposed to be a tough matchup last week and just kept it rolling.
Yeah.
It's hard not to like him, just in general. I'm totally cool with using some Monty.
Do you think he's going to be highly? A high
Well,
percentage
if you look at
OBO?
Naji Harris at 6,300 and he's coming through at like 20+%, 24, 25% is the highest running back on the slate. So you can get a $200 discount on Montgomery, who early ownership is looking at around 12%. Yeah, I mean, I like that play a lot more than Naji for sure.
And on the other side, I'd mentioned him earlier. You'd be crazy if you're looking, like, if you want to run someone back on the other side, to not play Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd's at 4,700 because of one subpar week. That's just very difficult to say no to. And I'm just going to mention that running back with a nice healthy foot looked very good, and you can't take that away from him. Like he played well last week.
There's no doubt about
Mixon. So he's someone to keep an eye on, man, because he could really, when he's at his best, he kind of is a mini Le'Veon Bell when he was good. So that it's just something to keep an eye on. If he has another big week, he may be off to the races until that foot re-breaks.
No doubt.